Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Courtside Soundoff podcast. Once again, I'm Josh Evanoff. He's the one and only Angel Ortega. Sponsor, as always, this week, the amazing Rogue Energy. Go to the leader in energy drinks. They have protein. They have everything you could possibly need. You get 10% off your order using the code SOUNDOFF at checkout. It's code SOUNDOFF at checkout for 10% off all your energy needs. Amazing sponsor, as always, of the program. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about this week, my man. Obviously, we got some UFC Vegas 39 to go over, UFC Vegas 40 to recap. Bellator having a massive show, and then obviously we have to talk about arguably the greatest heavyweight fight in the very least the last 10 to 15 years. We'll go ahead and kick it off. UFC Vegas 39 from the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. Main event, Marina Rodriguez defeating Mackenzie Dern via unanimous decision. The scorecard 49-46 across the board. Angel, my man, obviously this is a big test for Mackenzie Dern. We obviously knew that Rodriguez was good going in. Obviously she's 14-1-2. But Dern, she won a couple of fights in a row, but we just didn't know how complete she was as a fighter. If she cannot get the fight to the ground, she struggled to get the fight to the ground. Ends up losing via unanimous decision, like I said. What are your takeaways from both Rodriguez's win and also Dern moving forward in that division?
I mean, we said that when we had our little preview, man. I mean, we gave a lot of faith to her about how, her striking had improved. She was a little bit more comfortable. But one of the issues she had overlying was wrestling, man. Her issue was she's good on the ground, but the issue is she can't get it to the ground as easily as she wants to. And against Rodriguez, who, a solid striker in her own right, she did really good against getting, defending the takedown, got taken down one time, and that was her worst round probably when she did get taken down. Outside of that, though, when she kept it on the feet, Rodriguez looked great, striking was crisp, and she ended up winning it. And that was her way to victory, honestly, keeping on the feet, avoiding the ground, avoiding any takedowns, and keeping it up. For Dern, I mean, obviously the striking was there. Obviously, she still makes some mistakes, still gets caught in some punches. She's not at that point where she can give one, take one, and get it to the ground, and still needs to improve upon it. But I mean, you saw though, once it got to the ground, she was in her, she was in her wheelhouse. She looked comfortable. The issue is, and her coaches even told her, "Hey, you need to get down to the ground again." But the issue is, she couldn't get it back to the ground again.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew this. We knew this. We gave her a lot of faith because she, we thought it was going to be over. And for a bit there, it could have looked like it was over. It ended up happening. One submission attempt out of her. There might have been some attacks, but one legitimate attempt, and didn't end up winning it. Right person won that night. She's still a great contender in this division. Her run is not over. She's got plenty of time, and really hard for Rodriguez. I mean, all the signs were there. We were just and I thought about getting off the Dern hype train back when we were first talking about it, but everybody was so hard on it. I was like, maybe I should write it too. But I was like, I don't know. I think Rodriguez can do it because she has good striking. Dern struggles to take the fight to the ground. But everybody seemed to be on the Dern train, man, and I stuck through it too. I should have hopped off while I could have, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, as far as us hopping off the hype train, dude, you don't really need to. Our picks are still killing it this year.
I mean, you're not wrong about that, but I definitely. I thought I could have been right. I thought I could have picked Rodriguez. Like I went against what I thought was a good idea, and it ended up working out, but it doesn't matter. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a 50-50 fight going in, honestly. I was really debating picking, and that's why the betting line was really, really close between these two as well. I ended up siding with Dern, but like I said, if you guys listen to the show, you probably earn a pretty penny off our picks this year. I'm 75, 39-1. Angela, you're 73, 41-1. So we've been killing it this year.
Regardless. What was the one? Was that the?
Well, actually, it's actually 2-1s. There was the one draw, which I don't remember, and there was a 1-no contest, which was Holland versus Dukakis.
Oh, okay. So not our fault.
Yeah, no. So I don't know what the one draw is. I don't remember, but I'm sure you could probably go back and find it. But yeah, dude, like that was a very close fight. I mean, I'll go ahead and give Mackenzie Dern props. It's important to remember, guys. Like she was coming off of 4 wins in a row. She beat Nina Nunes, who's on a hell of a run before that. Verna Jandiroba, all that stuff. She's still 5 years into MMA. She's only 28 years old. This is her first 5-rounder. She's going up against somebody in her own right that is much bigger than her, has the massive striking advantage, and was on a hell of a run in her own right. I'm not disappointed in Mackenzie Dern's performance. I thought that, like, I think the big thing for me was that third round. Round 2, obviously, she got Rodriguez down. She made it to mount. She was going for different types of submission attempts all night. Like, from that position, that she had like 5 minutes of control time. I give that round a 10-8 to her. Round 3, she seemed to come out and like take her foot off the gas after nearly getting the finish in round 2. And I think that was honestly what led to her downfall. She only got the fight down to the ground one more time after that, and it was like a scramble within the last 15 seconds of round 4. She couldn't get the fight back down there. Ultimately goes on to lose. As far as these two moving forward, I got to ask you, dude. So at the top of 115 right now, obviously we have Weili and Rose. You're going to have the rematch, which I think we're both relatively cool with. I thought Esparza probably should have gotten the title shot, but we both love Weili on the show. Weili's your girl. Jesus Christ, you were the one that pretty much called her. You were the only person I know that thought Weili Zhang was going to be a champ back in like 2018. But regardless, Marina Rodriguez, obviously, she's won 3 fights in a row. This is a big win for her. Second win in a row in the main event, actually. Do you think that she should potentially skip the line in 115? By that, I'm saying, do you think she should get the next title shot? She should fight Carla Esparza next? Go ahead and matchmake for a minute. Who do you put Marina Rodriguez with following that win on Saturday?
I mean, obviously, I'll tell you this. I think if Rose wins, undisputedly, it should be Esparza, right? Now, if Rose isn't to win, and we got Weili there, I feel like you have some precedent to do a Esparza Rodriguez, number 1 contender match. Even though right now as it stands, it is Esparza, but with this, it'd be undisputed number 1, no question about it. That person should win the title. Should be on the line to fight the title, And like I said, in every scenario, Esparza is still in the mix, right? Rodriguez is the one who ends up missing out, which is fine because, like I said, I feel like Esparza deserves her chance. And I think it's mainly because Rose is in the mix. If Rose isn't in the mix, that kind of changes it a bit. You know what I mean? Because they've fought each other. And she has one over her, So, it's a big thing.
Yeah, fair enough. I think if you're Marina Rodriguez, if you're Carla Esparza, I think the big thing that you're hoping for is that Weili does not win that rematch. Because if they win that rematch, I didn't agree with Weili getting the immediate rematch anyway. I love Weili, but I didn't necessarily agree with it 100%. If she wins that second fight, though, you're getting an automatic trilogy, my guy.
Shit, you're right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, there's no way they can't do it. So, and at that point also, like, it'd be tough to deny because how are you going to give the immediate rematch to Weili and not give it to Rose? So it's definitely a difficult situation. UFC kind of booked themselves into a corner there. And then if Weili loses, then she's not a viable contender at 115 anymore, and she'll probably have to move up or do something else. So I never liked that rematch off the jump. Like, I thought they could have built to it, have one more fight in between. But regardless, for Marina Rodriguez, I think that you're probably just going to wait to see that fight play out. But, dude, if Weili wins, you got to have Esparza go against Rodriguez. Because at that point, you'd have 2 viable contenders just sitting on the shelf. And that's not you got to keep that division moving, man. Mm-hmm. Co-main event, this one's a little bit of a weird one. I don't think we're going to spend a whole lot of time on it just because it was kind of a weird fight. First off, Jared Gooden missed weight for this one, comes in 3 pounds over, and then he gets 30-27 by Randy Brown. This is not a very entertaining fight either, particularly because Randy Brown actually fucked up his toe in round 1 by kicking him in the face.
He fought through it, though, bro.
He did fight through it. The action did, kind of trend down a little bit after that. What are your thoughts on Randy Brown? And particularly, this is a guy that he was very, very young coming into the UFC. He's 31 now. He's won 4 of his last 5 fights. All of them have been very dominant, with the sole loss being to Luque. What are your thoughts on him moving forward in the division?
A lot of potential still, man. A lot of potential. Just because you get those losses early on doesn't mean you don't got a bright future ahead of you. You still got plenty of time piling up the wins he needs to. He lost to Luque, who's in an amazing position right now in the division. He's in that mix, man. He's in those names now, and especially with that win over Michael Kess, man. It's amazing, honestly, for him. So definitely, it's the guy that he lost to was a good guy, So he should not feel any sort of way about it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. And honestly, for a guy like Jared Gooden, what a wasted opportunity. Obviously, I don't have any inside information, but you got to figure this guy's going to be gone after this one, right? He's lost 3 of his last 4. And ultimately, he missed weight for this one, too. So, pretty disappointing. That's a guy that, I didn't have high hopes for coming in, but he took the long way to get there, and he kind of just he did not do a whole lot with the opportunity. But as far as Randy Brown, dude, I love to see it. Like I said, there's a guy that came into the UFC very, very young. I mean, we don't really. He's one of those guys who didn't really think about it, but he's been in the UFC since almost 6 years at this point. 6 years in January. Came in at 7-0. And he had some rough fights in there, dude, but he's finally starting to put it together. And even his losses aren't bad either. I mean, Luque, Price, Muhammad, and Michael Graves. Michael Graves, the name that sticks out, but even then, he's fucking 10-1. And he's a very good guy in his own right. So, yeah, Randy Brown, love to see him doing the turnaround. As far as the rest of this card goes, man, I actually thought it was a lot of fun, particularly those prelims, though. What are some of the other fights you want to go and highlight from this one?
I mean, man, like you said, there were some prelims in there that ended up providing for us. And, I mean, right at the start, man, Steve Garcia came out quick KO, man. Early on, he got it. I know that was, obviously opening up the card, and maybe not a big name, but still, man, a good performance. And following it up, Lupita Gunitas got the girls. When I go Miss Juarez in her UFC debut, man, caught her in an armbar. So first round, another one. Good for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, you highlighted it straight off the top. Whenever I brought that fight up, I didn't necessarily think it was gonna be like a great fight. But Steve Garcia and Charlie Tavares came to fucking bang, dude. I cannot believe that fight.
Shout out to those guys.
I can't believe that fight did not win Fight of the Night. If you guys didn't watch it, which I'm sure you didn't, because
wait, what won Fight of the Night then?
Rodriguez versus Dern.
Bro,
I didn't agree with it at all. But if you guys didn't watch, Charlie Tavares nearly won the fight like 11 seconds in with a fucking, what was it? Was it a crescent kick, I think? Or either a crescent kick or an axe kick. I don't entirely remember. He knocks down T. Garcia. He nearly gets the finish. T. Garcia reverses it, gets him out, ends up like blooding him up. He has so much blood going into his hair by the end of round 1 that his blonde hair looks entirely red. Comes out, Tavares knocks him down again to start the second. Garcia recovers, gets to finish like a minute and a half later. It was like 7 minutes of fucking fury. Insane fight between two dudes that like really needed it badly.
Love.
Obviously, Damon Jackson, Charles Rosa, that was a fight, dude. I don't know if you saw that one. Damon Jackson like lost at least 7 pints of blood in that one.
Holy fuck.
And I remember I put something on Twitter about like my favorite thing in fighting is whenever guys will go out and like they'll clearly get fucked up. And I'm sure you've seen this before, but it's like they'll go out there, they'll get nearly knocked out, they'll have blood everywhere. And the post fight they'll ask him and they'll be like, so what happened during that whole sequence? Like, oh, I felt fine. I got hit a little bit there, but I felt good. I felt good. And then like Damon Jackson goes out, he's clearly winning the fight. Round 3, Charles Rosa spinning back elbow. He's a fucking water faucet for the next 5 minutes. I can't believe they did not stop this fight. Because all the blood on the mat throughout that entire night, that was all Damon Jackson's that he lost in the span of 5 minutes. He was a water faucet, dude. Like,
holy fuck.
You could hear, like, you cannot hear it, but the ringside, they were talking about it. They're like, you can smell how much blood it is. Like, he had to, like, we have 10 pints of blood, I believe, in the human body. He at least lost about 4 of them. Like, it was bad.
In a dying state by then. I forget how much it is. I know you can lose quite a bit. I forgot how much it is. I know I should know this, but I know you can lose quite a bit.
You can lose a whole lot. But yeah, I'm legitimately surprised they didn't stop it, dude. Like, it was bad. But shout out Alexander Romanov. He got a nice win. He's a rare heavyweight prospect, still undefeated. I didn't like the matchmaking in that one, but they did it anyway. He got a nice TKO. And then I got to give it up. Maria Agapova. I've hyped this girl up for at least 3 years at this point, at least. She had a great run in Invicta. She goes to the UFC. She murders Hannah Cyphers. And then she ends up breaking her leg, loses to Shayna. I mean, that's not why she lost the fight, but she did end up breaking her leg during the fight against Shayna Dobson. And losing via TKO. And literally the biggest odds-wise, like obviously Sarah, GSP, Bisping, Rockhold 2. Those are bigger in terms of consequence. Pure betting odds, it was the biggest upset in UFC history, losing to Shayna Dobson. And then she was a big underdog winning this one against Sabina Mazo. Mazo's a very, very good fighter. And she just got murked in there, dude. Like, that was not even close. Maria Agapova put it on her for 3 rounds instead of getting the tap out. Hell of a win by her. Very, very proud of my girl, Maria Agapova. As far as that card goes, that was a fun one. this Saturday night, man, UFC Apex once again. We're having to work through these cards to get to the big pay-per-views at the end of the month and the start of the month.
Hey, man, it's just all good after this.
It's all good. It's all, dude. Next week's main event on paper. I really hope nothing happens.
They should make it there. It's gonna happen. I feel like they would have already started fumbling by now.
Maybe, dude, but goddamn, what a main event. But as far as this week, obviously this main event was supposed to be Holly Holm against Norma Dumont. At 145, I should say, because Norma is one of the 7 145ers they have on roster, and I'm not sure if that's 7. I might be adding 1 or 2 extra. Obviously, Holly ends up getting injured, and who do they call on 1 week notice? Aspen Ladd. Yes, in case you're listening, and you forgot, Aspen Ladd seemingly looked dead on the scale on October 1st. She weighed at 137. A missed weight for her fight against Macy Chasson. She was literally shaking on the scale. But despite that, they went ahead and decided that they're going to go ahead and give her one more shot at 145, up a weight class. So hopefully she makes it. Let's hope the fight doesn't get canceled. Nothing's guaranteed.
But she's not the only one doing it on less than a week notice, Josh.
What do you mean?
Because Lupita Godinez is also doing it on less than a 1 week notice.
Oh my God!
Did you even know this?
I forgot. Let's talk about that. Loopy is back.
I didn't even know about that until
Loopy's back on 1 week notice after murking a poor girl. Like, that fight wasn't even her close, her fight last week. She's stepping in against Julian Carolina. What a fucking savage.
Time to get paid, man. That's what it really is, honestly. Good for her.
If she wins that, she would actually make history. She would do it faster than Cosmo. Cosmo turned around and fought. Yeah, that'd be the record if she wins.
How many days
Cosmo did it 10 days.
What would it be for her? How many days
7.
would that be? That's pretty badass. I kind of hope she does it because I don't think anybody could break 7 days. It would have to be a Saturday to Wednesday card, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And even then, I don't know if anybody could physically do that.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, this is the rare circumstance where it can actually happen because I don't think she took a single strike against the girl that she was fighting last Saturday, whose name is escaping me, but Silviana Gomez Juarez. And I thought that fight was going to actually be pretty fun, and then she just immediately went in and murked her. So I don't think she even took a single punch. So this is the rare circumstance where it can happen. And you know what? Juliana Carolina is a very good fighter, but I think this might be the circumstance where it happens, dude. I think I honestly favor Loopy in that one. But
good luck to her. Good luck to her.
Yeah, I mean, it's back to the main event, just back to the part we're supposed to be talking about right now. But yeah, as of right now, this fight is booked. Aspen Ladd, Norma Dumont, both these girls have had weight issues. Norma missed a couple of different times. That's why she's at 145. And then obviously, like I mentioned earlier, Aspen, she's made it before. She's had a fight called off before. She's missed before, so she's now fighting at 145 as well. I'll just go ahead and put this one out there, man. Before we even do the pick, what is your interest level in this fight? This is a very cobbled together event. It looked like for a while there we might have an Andrei Arlovski main event in 2021. But yeah, what is your level of anticipation for this one? I see some people. Now, some people say this all the time, but some people are saying this is the worst main event for a fight night in history.
No, I think we've had worse that have been done on less time, for sure. I just got interested in it because Aspen Ladd got into the mix, honestly. She got into the mix. I thought that, for me, that's what kind of brought me back. I think if it would have been Arlovski, Carlos Felipe, I would have actually been a little less interested. I'm not going to lie to you. Mm-hmm. And I do, love me some Arlovski, Carlos Felipe, obviously all right guy, but, I feel like he has his limitations. Mm-hmm. And we'll see that. And, yeah, I mean, that's mainly what it is. I mean, I'll watch it. Like I said, they put me back a little bit. I want to see how Aspen Ladd does up a weight class because, I mean, obviously she won't have to worry about such a major weight cut and see if she comes out and performs on short notice and kind of rallies back for her fans and for the UFC a little bit. She doesn't have to do it, but she's deciding to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I see some people are like, oh, she's getting rewarded with a main event. I'm like, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think if you're willing to fight somebody on, a week's notice, it is what it is at that point. They needed a main event badly, and I thought when I first heard Holly dropped out, I'm like, oh shit, either we're getting our Arlovski main event, or I think Aspen Ladd's gonna step in there. Aspen's game, dude. I mean, I watched some of the interviews leading up to her last fight. the one that was canceled. I mean, she was talking about how like she needs a fight. She has not fought since like 2019, October 2019, somewhere around there, against Yana Kunitskaya, I believe. She's like, I need the cash. I need to get in there. I need to get back to normal. I need to go fighting again. And obviously that fight fell out. So I'm not surprised she stepped up on the short notice for this one. Norma Dumont is a very, very tough girl. A very, very tough girl. I know she's had a couple of nice wins in a row. Obviously she murked Ashley Evans Smith. That was just a 30. I believe like a 30-26, something completely dominant. And then she obviously beat Felicia Spencer as well. This one's close on the betting line. But who are you leaning towards on Saturday night? Aspen Ladd or Norma Dumont?
The Aspen Ladd gets it done, man. I think with not such a big of a weight cut, I know she's coming off a weight cut, but a tough one. But I think she's going to come in, be rehydrated, be in a good state, feel good, want to get in the mix, hungry, and she wants that victory. I think she's got the right mindset. She has the tools. We know that. We know what she's capable of. And she got pushed a little early on in her career against Jermaine when that happened, I think. But I think here she should. I mean, this is the kind of fighter she should be beating.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she'll get it done.
Yeah, and honestly, I've always thought it's a little bit stupid that Aspen had not moved up until now. I mean, she's not moving up. She's being forced to move up. So let's go ahead and say that. But I've always thought it's a little bit stupid. Because here's the thing. At 135 and 145, women's 145, I mean, you're legitimately in the position where you need to fight one time and you're getting a title shot. Maybe one. I mean, Norma Dumont, this is her second fight. The winner of this is getting a title shot. Historically, we've seen it. Megan Anderson needed 2. Felicia Spencer needed 1. Like, if you win 1 or 2 fights, you're there. And women's 135, we talked about on the show before, it's not a bad division. It's just that Amanda Nunes is so much better in the competition. Like, the top women there are pretty fucking good. I mean, Jermaine Durand, Aspen Ladd, we talk about Holly Holm, Misha Tate, Juliana Pena, Caitlin Vieira. There's a bunch of very, very Irene Aldana. There's a bunch of very, very good women there. So I'm not sure why she chose to try to walk through hell and nearly die on the scale multiple times before moving up to 145. But yeah, dude, as far as this fight goes, I like Norma Dumont a lot. I like her skill set a lot. I think she's very, very underrated. But I think this is Aspen Ladd's time, dude. I've been on that train for a while. She's still very, very young. I think that's very, very important to note. When it comes to her development, I think she's 26, dude. I mean, she's gonna figure out stuff like her weight, her fighting style. She could tell that like she's still not fully there sometimes in terms of like going for the finish or stuff like that. And sometimes her coach need to wake her up like they did for the Yana fight. She's still 9-1. I think she's gonna get this one done. I think, will she get a title shot next? I don't know. Either she gets a title shot next. I mean, obviously, it all depends on what Nunes does in her fighting against Juliana Pena. God forbid she loses that. But Aspen may be in line for a title shot if she wins this fight, depending on if they actually want to make the Shevchenko trilogy with Nunes. But that's conversation for another day. Co-main event time, though. I mentioned it earlier. Andrei Arlovski, Carlos Felipe. This one's a very even matchup. Arlovski is 42. And he's still doing the damn thing, dude. I mean, he's won 3 of his last 4 fights. He's only lost to Tom Aspinall, who's one of the greatest prospects at heavyweight right now. He's been running through dudes. Talking Carlos Felipe, who in his own right is a very, very good prospect. This is a guy that he started off, he lost a majority decision to Sergey Spivak on Fight Island, turns right back around. He's won 3 fights in a row. Very, very important matchup for both these guys. Arlovski still is the gatekeeper of that division for the top 15. Who do you got in the co-main slot?
I got Andrei Arlovski, man. I think this is the kind of guy who he should be beating, man. I mean, he beat Chase Sherman last time out. He beat Tanner Boser, Felipe Lanz. Obviously, he had a Tam Aspinall loss in between. But this is the kind of guys he should be beating, guys on the lower end of the heavyweight weight class. Look, I know Carlos Felipe has had some pretty good performance against some guys, but you got to look at who they are against. I mean, he came in, lost to Sergey Spivak, majority decision. After that, beat Jorgen Castro, which, look, as much as we love Jorgen, obviously Jorgen is limited. Obviously being smaller doesn't help. Justin Tafa, another split decision or 8 split decision. Another guy that I think you should be beating if you're on that lower to mid end of the heavyweight class trying to get into the ranking. Another split decision against Jake Collier. I mean, once again, he's kind of getting by too. But against Andrei Arlovski, I don't know if he's going to be able to get by. You know what I mean? Andrei Arlovski is still getting legitimately good wins in guys like Felipe Lins, Tanner Boser, and Chase Sherman, who I think could beat a guy like Carlos Felipe.
Yeah, entirely. I mean, Arlovski, I mean, like you said, if Felipe kind of keeps on edging these guys out, and he has a good record, and he has some good names now on his record just by virtue of he keeps on edging them out. Arlovski is a guy that Felipe's game is kind of predicated based off of being the bigger guy, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to draw this dude in, and we're going to fucking bang, bro. Like, if you've watched his last few fights, he's just swinging and banging, and as a fan of, as a Just Bleed, as a Just Bleed fan, I love it. Just Bleed, bro. But that being said, Arlovski he does not get enough props, but like he's a guy that has gone from being a Felipe type where he's just like, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna fucking bang. I'm going out on my shield, or he's going out on his. That's the way that Arlovski used to be, man. But he's really kind of turned the corner. His last, I want to say probably 6-7 fights, he's like, nah, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna be tactical. If he catches me, he catches me, but I'm gonna do my best to fucking not let that happen.
Let me tell you this. There's a world where he has Felipe Lins, Tanner Boser, Tom Aspinall, Chase Sherman all as a straight wins, and he would win this, and he'd be on a 5-fight winning streak, which sounds kind of insane at 42 years of age.
Oh no, it goes deeper than that. Like,
you could go back.
I mean, well, Jairzinho, he got caught immediately into that fight, so do with what you want with that one, but like. Rothwell, he dominated. Augusto Sakai, that's like legit. If you look up MMA decisions, that's legitimately one of the most disputed decisions of all time. I don't think there's a single person that thought Sakai won a round, let alone the fight. And then Walt Harris, that was another fight that like most people thought that Arlovski won, and obviously he ended up losing via split decision, got overturned because of the USADA thing. And then you can go back even further. Tai Tuivasa, that was that decision. A lot of people thought Arlovski won. There's like a very real world where like. Arlovski, dude, like he's still legit, but you know what I mean? Like has a lot more wins than what he currently has. So, I don't believe I said my pick, but I am actually going to officially pick Andrei Arlovski to get this one done, man. I think he's not going to get drawn into the brawl. I think that we saw, like I mentioned earlier, Carlos Felipe's last few opponents have really gotten drawn in. Jake Collier, Justin Toff, they're like, you know what, dude, let's brawl, dude. We're heavyweights. That's what we do. That's not what Arlovski's been doing, man. He's going to stick on the outside. He's going to use his jab. He's going to stay back on the back foot, let you come forward. He's going to pop you with the right, overhand with the left. Like Arlovski's boxing is still very, very slick, man. So I'm gonna take him. I think he's probably just going to outpoint him. I don't think it will be the most technical fight. Probably not. But dude, I still love that Arlovski's out here like at the age of 42, and he's still doing the damn thing, and he's still doing it at a very high level that we as a lot of fans don't really give him enough props for. As far as the rest of the card goes, man, what are some of the other fights you want to go and highlight?
I mean, we gotta always highlight this man whenever he's fighting, man. He's a legend of the game, Jim Miller, man, and once again coming in, welcoming UFC newcomer Eric Gonzalez. I'm surprised they're kind of welcoming Eric Gonzalez with, I guess, Jim Miller. I don't know. It's a weird fight to kind of throw to a guy who's just coming into the UFC, a guy who's really experienced, who I'd say is still pretty competitive. You know what I mean? I mean, he's not beating the ranked guys, but he's still a competitive guy in the mix. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting move. I'll say as much, man. Like, Jim Miller is a very, very, very... He's in such a weird place. Just whenever I think Jim Miller's done, and, like, he's had legit... Like, in my head, I can probably... At least 3 or 4 times, I look at Jim Miller, I'm like, oh, yeah, he's done. And then the motherfucker will just turn around and somehow win a fight or two, and then he's right back in there. Like, this is interesting matchmaking, like you said. I think it's going to be a fun fight, but it is very interesting matchmaking. But, honestly, I like this main card a lot. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I mean, we have, I always mess up her name. So, Angel, why don't you go ahead and give it a shot. The girl that's going against Maria Bueno Silva.
Manon Ferro? Mm-hmm. We've heard it a few times. I'm pretty sure
She's French, so it really fucks me up. You think I took like 6 years?
Yeah, I was
of
gonna say,
French.
Josh, you took fucking French. Like, shouldn't you know the pronunciation for some of these?
Here's the
Like,
thing. I've told this to people when they ask me, like, don't you know French? Like, dude, I focused. I took 4 years of French. I focused in French for maybe 1 year, and then I coasted off of that 1 year for the next 4. Like, people were in the 4th year of French class, we were reading novels and shit, and I'm just like, I don't know what we're reading. Like, and and people are trying to do, they're like saying super long sentences, having full conversations, and I'm just over here like,
wait, were there people in high school, like when you were in that class, that legitimately went off, like actually had like pretty good, decent French in your class?
There were a couple people that I was friends with in there that, like, yeah, they had very good French, and it pissed me off because, like, yeah, I'm like, how do you do that, dude? Like, how do you first of all, how do you focus in school? And second of all, how do you focus enough to actually learn a language? And there were multiple people. Like, there were people that I was friends with that, like, dude, there was the funniest story I have is, we're getting really off topic, but this is not a deep card. There's no deep cuts on this one, so I feel comfortable telling the story. But, like, Angel, I think you'll find this funny. Senior year, French class. We're about to do the final. The final is actually talking to the teacher and having like a full-blown conversation. And I go and I sit down and I say to the teacher, I'm like, I start talking and I'm like, never mind. And I get up and I walk away and I'm like, I need to rethink what I'm gonna say to them. And I go and I talk to my friend and she just gives me an entire script, like just like of what to say. And I'm like, got this shit down. And by the way, this conversation, me talking, it's 2 feet away from the teacher. Teacher clearly sees what I'm doing. And I go sit down. I give it a whole rehearsed speech. I got a fucking A on that shit. Let's go. I still don't know what I said to this day, by the way. So, yeah, so I have no idea how to pronounce this woman's name, but I'm going to give it a shot. Manon Ferro, maybe?
I think that's pretty solid.
I think that's solid, man. I think that's pretty solid. Anyway, she's fucking legit. She is very good.
She's a killer.
She is the rare MMA fighter, like women's wise, that has a lot of power, dude. Just based off her 2 fights in the UFC, she has 2 knockout wins against pretty decent girls. Tabitha Ricci was undefeated going in. Victoria Leonardo was in Invicta, was good for a while there. And she has a bunch of other knockout wins in UAE Warriors, stuff like that, dude. And she's taking on Maria Bueno Silva. Only loss is to Mario Moroz. That was a fight of the night back in 2020 on the first COVID card. So, yeah, dude, that's going to be a very, very fun fight. And then obviously also on the main card, Julian Marquez versus Jordan Wright. Dude, that's a
banger.
That's a banger right there, man. I don't want to say anything is, fight of the night, an automatic one. There were Nate Landwehr is on the card. But, dude, Julian Marquez, he's never been in a boring fight, like he's never ever been in a boring fight. I want to say, like, of his UFC fights, he's had either a fight of the night and performance bonus in every single one of them. So shout out to the Cuban Missile Crisis from KC. So and then also in Jordan Wright, I don't want to call him a prospect because I don't think that's entirely accurate, but
he's a young talent.
He's 30. He's 31.
He's a talent.
Yeah, he's a talent. Let's put it like that.
Had to switch it up a couple times there.
Nice. Yeah, but dude, he's obviously 12-1. His only loss to Joaquin Buckley. Technically, he lost to Anthony Hernandez, but obviously he tested positive for the marijuana, so that one got overturned. Can't have people in the devil's lettuce in the cage, can we, Angel?
No. Most dangerous performance-enhancing drug.
It really is. Yeah, but here's the thing. Every single one of Jordan Wright's fights have ended via finish. Every single one. He's either getting knocked out or he's doing some killing himself. So this is gonna be a banger, man. Yeah, the main card I think is a lot of fun. Couple of deep cuts on there, Not really, but prelims not as good. Andrew Sanchez is back. I'm a fan of him. Nate Landwehr is back. And shout out to Brandon Davis. Underrated story on the card. This is a guy that obviously years ago, Angel, I'm sure you heard the name. He was on one of the first seasons of Contender Series. Mm-hmm. Might have been on the first season, actually. Got a contract, had a couple of nice fights. I know he beat Steven Peterson, Randy Costa. I know he fought Zabit on like super short notice. He got cut from the UFC after losing a split decision to Giga. Turns right back around and wins 4 fights on the regional scene. Most of which, by the way, I believe he won those 4 fights in the span of 11 months. Turns right back around, and now he's back in the UFC, and he's fighting on this card. So shout out Brandon Davis, making the return back. You never see that, dude. You never, ever see a guy get cut, go to the regional scene, and then come back. It never happens. But yeah, as far as this card goes, man, is there anything else we want to touch on before we close out on that one?
No, man. I mean, it has some bangers in there. It has potential. That's why I said it's not the worst fight card of the year. We've definitely had worse. And like I said, from here on out, bangers, fucking bangers. And I mean, it's not it though, Josh. There's more.
There is more. Great segue. That's normally my job, man. Bellator 268. If we're being completely honest here, this is the better card of the weekend, especially if we're talking main, co-main. Obviously, the main event, Vadim Nemkov, really supposed to be facing Anthony Rumble Johnson, pulls out. Now stepping in is the 5th-ranked Julius Angelikas, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Maybe I'm wrong, but he's still an excellent guy in his own right. 10-1 fighting out of St. Charles, Missouri. I believe he is 3-0 in Bellator. I believe he won a fight in the Contender Series. Very, very underrated guy, but he's taking on Vadim Nemkov, Fedor's protege, 14-2. He's been murking dudes left and right. Phil Davis, Ryan Bader, Rafael Carvalho, Liam McGeary, so on and so forth. He's a bad man. Okay. Co-main event, also in the same Grand Prix. Ryan Bader, Corey Anderson, battle of the former UFC vets. Bader still the heavyweight champ, looking to reclaim his light heavyweight world title, going through the tournament, trying to meet Nemkov one more time. Corey Anderson. I mean, there's levels to this, okay? He leaves the UFC after losing to Jan Blachowicz, turns right back around, gets 2 TKO wins to start his Bellator career, including killing Melvin Manhoff, which really made me sad for a few days there. But, dude, here we go. 2 amazing fights on Bellator 268 on October 16th, this Saturday. He's going head-to-head against the UFC. Let's start off with that main event, dude. Nemkov, Angelikas. Do you think he's going to be able to pull off the upset? Do you think Nemkov just rolls?
I think Nemkov's going to get through to it. Let me tell you this, though. It doesn't mean that Julius Angelikas can't win this fight. He is a very talented individual himself. Very lean, very strong, but there could be some cardio issues there because he's carrying so much mass. On top of that, good striking. Can be functional on the ground. Obviously, Vadim, I think at this point, the more well-rounded fighter fully. Like I think he has his full roundedness at this point as a fighter. Good conditioning. Obviously, very disciplined, great coach behind him, great team behind him. And obviously, he has the names. He has the resume at this point. I think the thing with Angelikas, he's just been missing kind of fighting those guys who are kind of on the higher end of the light heavyweight, Bellator division, even outside of Bellator. Because, Vadim had fought in those Rising Grand Prix and fought in Rise and took it out guys who are now in Bellator. They came through that, and guys who are now in the UFC that came from Rise and other promotions. So he has the credibility, he has the wins, he has the belt. I mean, it's just if Julius Angelikas comes out and gets that victory, I don't know if he'll be able to do it. I got Vadim, but I think he'll put up a good performance, and I think it's a banger of a fight. Obviously, we would have had a Rumble here, but he's going through some serious health issues.
Mm-hmm. And on the topic of Rumble, we obviously don't know what those health issues are. Don't really want to speculate, but based off of what he's talked about, it does not look good. So obviously
enough not to fight.
Yeah, thoughts go out to Rumble. But yeah, dude, this is an excellent fight. Like I said, I am gonna go with Nemkov though. I like that you mentioned something that he's known in Bellator for his current run, but dude, he fought in the Rising Grand Prix, and I really think that did his stint in Rising did a lot for him. I think he learned that there's a lot he needs to work on. Him going through a war with Fury, losing and facing a guy like Carl Albrechtsen, was a lot for him, and he's been able to improve. He was still very, very young at that time.
Do you even know how he lost that fight, the Fury fight?
How he lost, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a banger of a fight. I recommend you look it up.
But you know how he lost, right? It was via exhaustion. He couldn't get up. Yeah. Which makes sense because it's a 10-minute fight, first round.
Yeah. And also that was that's one of those fights that I love fights like that. It's whenever it's two young dudes that you're not really sure how good they are, and then they obviously go out and we see later on in their career how good of a fight that was at the time. You understand what I'm kind of saying there?
Yeah. And where they're at now. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Fucking Butler would love these guys.
Yeah, entirely. So, yeah, man. So Nemkov, I think that did a lot for him. It's important to note, like, he was so young, dude. I believe he was 23, 24 when he was in that tournament going against monsters. And I believe that's like the tournament that King Mo won in the end. So
I know, right? What the fuck?
Hey, at that time, King Mo was a bad man. I mean, King Mo was a bad man for a long time, but like, whenever he crashed as hard as I've ever seen any other MMA fighter, dude. He didn't just lose. He got knocked out in like 5 straight fights. Not a single one was close. He got knocked out by a guy with like not even a Wikipedia page. Like it was rough for him, dude. But anyways, back to Nemkov real quickly. Yeah, I'm gonna go and take him, dude. I just think when it comes to the top level, Julius Angelikas, he doesn't have the type of experience that Nemkov has. Nemkov's been fighting straight up killers, and that doesn't mean that you're immune from losing, but you've been, iron sharpens iron, and I haven't seen enough from Angelikas to feel comfortable making the pick, so I'm gonna take Nemkov. For me, co-main events is damn, dude, this one's really hard to pick. Obviously, Ryan Bader, Corey Anderson, like I mentioned earlier. Bader, both former UFC guys. That's pretty much, the kind of the story there. But Bader, really, I mean, if you're talking like pure accomplishments within Bellator, he's probably behind Pitbull. He's probably the second greatest based off of accomplishments of Bellator alone. The Bellator GOAT. Like, heavyweight champ, light heavyweight champ. Beat King Mo, Linton Vassell, Phil Davis, Mitch Rion, Fedor, Machida, like so many of these other dudes. His only loss is the Nemkov, which he's trying to avenge by going through this tournament. And Corey Anderson, dude, I mean, even, by the way, I forgot to mention, Bader's still the heavyweight champion, which feels weird because he hasn't fought there for forever. But Corey Anderson, dude, the younger guy, but like, dude, this is such an interesting fight for me. Like, what are your feelings toward this one?
It's weird because obviously these guys have trained together. They know something we don't. I've tried to look around, see if there's any kind of talk of the team. It's like, yeah, Ryan used to be the shit out of Corey, or Corey used to be the shit out of Ryan in training. Haven't been able to find anything. I don't know if you have. But that's the thing, though, with these guys. They know who's winning those rounds. And it's been years, right? It's been a while since they've trained. That's the thing, too. But now we're here. It's been a long time. They found each other again now in Bellator in this tournament. And it's time for the conclusion. I mean, I kind of want to turn it back to you and see what your pick's going to be, and if you have any kind of deeper thoughts on that, or if you've heard anything about them when they were training.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, as far as hearing stuff about them training, I have not heard a single thing. I know they trained together, like you said, but I have not really heard about like who got the better of who. Nothing like that. As far as my pick, dude, I have loved the way Corey Anderson's looked lately, man. I really have. I mean, as much as I'm a fan of Ryan Bader, part of me wonders if he should just make the permanent move to heavyweight. You can see that, like, he's a really, really big light heavyweight dude. I remember reading somewhere that he had issues, like a lot of issues, actually making an Nemkov fight because of how much weight he had to cut after not cutting for so long. Because, he took like 3 years off from light heavyweight. And before he went back, obviously, to fight Nemkov and now going into the World Grand Prix. I think that's going to play a role. I also just think, dude, Corey Anderson, like, I don't know if he's better than Bader on the feet. I think Bader probably has the edge in power. I'm not sure if he does a light heavyweight. We knew at heavyweight he had power, but I'm not sure about light heavyweight. Corey Anderson, dude, it seems like he's kind of figured out, like, his place. Corey Anderson was a really weird place coming into the UFC because he was just a very, very raw talent. He had the wrestling, he had the grappling, but you could tell I'm not sure if he had the confidence. He obviously didn't have the talking ability. He wasn't really good at selling himself. And yeah, I could feel like he was kind of had more like he was very rough in the stand-up, stuff like that. He wasn't really sure how can I phrase this? How to chain wrestle, put things together. I feel like he's kind of worked on that a lot. And dude, he's had one loss in the last 3 years. That was the Jan Blachowicz, who I'm not sure if you noticed, one of the greatest fighters on the planet right now. And during that stretch, he hasn't even been competitive with any other guy besides Jan. He dominated Patrick Cummins. He dominated Glover, which, dude, that's a crazy win in hindsight. Like, he 30-26 Glover Teixeira. That fight wasn't even competitive. He beats Alir, and Alir was about to get a title shot at that time. Alir had come off just beating OSP. He stops the hype train. He knocks out Johnny Walker. He obviously loses to Jan, goes to Bellator, and then back-to-back knockout wins against Melvin Manhoff and Agapova. So I'm leaning toward Corey Anderson, dude. I really think that, I'm not sure if – I think the UFC probably didn't make much of a run at keeping him, and I feel like he's had a massive chip on his shoulder, partially because of how he was treated on his exit. And then also just people constantly kind of dogging on him. And I think he takes a lot of that stuff to heart, dude. And I think he's going to go out there and it's going to make a really big statement in a win over Bader. But how do you feel?
I'm on the same page, man. I'm on the same page. I think Corey's found his home. He's fighting the way he wants to fight. And I mean, Ryan, for what it's worth, like you said, it looks better at heavyweight. He is a little older. It's been a while since they've trained against each other. Maybe they have some sort of misconception about each other, one way or the other, whoever it may be, and how they'll perform. But hey, man, I think Corey Anderson's gonna come out and perform. I want to pick Bader, but I think it's gonna be the Corey Anderson show. I think the final's gonna be Nemkov versus Anderson.
Yeah, which by the way is not what I would have picked to start. I picked Nemkov. Win the whole fucking thing, but that side of the bracket, a little bit surprised that we're kind of in line, honestly, with Corey both, having the same matchup. But dude, I am very, very, I love this, dude. Bellator, they got a lot of balls going head to head against UFC on Saturday, but dude, if there's a card for them to do it with, it's this one. As far as the rest of the card goes, there's a couple of nice fights on there, but what are some of the ones you want to go and highlight?
I mean, Josh, we just go one down. Brent Primus versus Benson Henderson. I mean, what a matchup. I mean, I guess after that Brent Primus loss, in which, he arguably won, they were like, nah, let's give you another fight. And I'm happy about that, Brent Primus is an interesting talent. Super physically out there, right? He's definitely something special. And great jiu-jitsu, man. I mean, that's his whole thing. I mean, great submissions, great ground game, and I'm curious to see how he comes out and performs against a vet like Benson Henderson, man.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm a big fan of Brent Primus. I really feel like the Chandler, the first Chandler fight, really weighs down a lot of people's opinions of him. His jiu-jitsu is fucking phenomenal, dude. He is phenomenal on the mat. He is very technically proficient on the feet. Is he a world beater by any means? No. But he's very technically good. He has a very, very good chin. You're not going to knock him out. It's not easy to wrestle against him. It's not very easy to go against Brent Primus. I thought he won that fight entirely. I thought that was a terrible decision. Against Islam Madamedov, I believe is how you pronounce his name. And dude, facing Benson, man, I really wish that they would give Benson, I don't want to say a layup, but this is a really tough ask for Benson after his last two fights. Obviously, he faced Chandler. That was Chandler's last fight in Bellator. He got KO'd. That was a fight that had he won, probably would have got a title shot. No dice. Fights Jason Jackson. He tries to get back in there quickly. He tries to fight Jason Jackson, the ass-kicking machine. Doesn't go his way. Now he's facing a really, really tough guy in Brent Primus. I don't like that matchup for him. But let's hope he wins. Maybe he'll get a boost from his wife actually fighting on the undercard, Maria Henderson, making her MMA amateur debut. So that's a deep cut down there. Henry Corrales is fighting in the opener. And then shout out to a little banger. We talked about it last time. Yogam Shirov, I believe, did we both pick him? I don't know if we picked him, but I know we kind of talked about how competitive he would be with Corey.
We thought he was be competitive. I mean, he has a good skill set.
Yeah, and he was competitive. He just ended up gassing out, ended up getting taken down, and so on and so forth. Taking on Carl Elbitrin. That's a banger.
It's our Brexton.
Brexton. Oh my god, I've said his name 3 different times this show, 3 different ways, and every single one was wrong. But yeah, dude, that's a very good guy in his own right, who actually, I don't want to say they're setting up for him to fight Nemkov. We're obviously ways away from that, but
I'm sure they will. They're going to push that at some point.
Yeah, he beat Victor Nemkov, so He already fought him earlier this year. He beat the older brother, so we'll see what happens somewhere down the line. But I'm pretty sure it's a reserve bout if anything were, God forbid, to happen. So yeah, dude, overall a pretty fun card, man. A very, very fun card for Bellator on Saturday night. Is there anything else we want to speak on this one before we close out of it? I'll take that as a no. So Angel, there's
No. I was muted for a second because I had my dogs barking in the background. But I wanted to highlight.
I know. I was just being a dick.
I wanted to highlight Lance Gibson Jr. one more time, man. I mean, he obviously father Lance Gibson Sr. Obviously, his mother, who's now signed to the PFL. We went over this whole storyline with his mom being Julia Budd and his dad being Lance Gibson Sr. and his stepmom being Julia Budd and how she's in his corner and he's like she's his coach and all that. Like once again, very interesting story, there.
Yeah, and that's a very interesting story. I'm glad you brought that one up. But dude, I think it's about time for us to go ahead and move on to it. This was tremendous. There's no other way around it. I think, we both had a certain level of expectation for this one. I think we both kind of came away, like, we both picked different people. I know that I picked Fury, you picked Wilder, but at the end of the day, we both just kind of wanted a good fight. I don't think either one of us were particularly rooting for one individual.
Oh, yeah.
And, dude, we got a good fight in Spain. In fact, I personally, since I've been watching boxing, this is probably the greatest heavyweight boxing match I've seen live. And even as somebody who could, I don't consider myself a boxing historian, but I've watched a lot of the great ones over the years. I put it up there as arguably one of the greatest heavyweight fights of all time, up alongside, Bo Holyfield and so on and so forth. This was a fucking amazing fight. Tyson Fury defeats Deontay Wilder via 11th round KO. For those that did not watch it at home, obviously Wilder came out round one. He looked like he had a game plan, dude. Malik Scott, they talked a lot in the lead up about body work, and Deontay was going to the body. Going back to round two, dude, Tyson, he looked pink in the stomach. He looked a different shade because of all the body work Wilder was doing. Wilder continued to into round two. Round three, though, Tyson storms back, dude. He drops him with a right hand near the end of the round. Deontay just barely scrapes it out of there. Round four, Wilder comes back, knocks him down twice, and it looks like, oh my God, dude, he's going to do it. He's going to pull it off. In the end, they ended up going back and forth for the next few rounds. In round 10, Fury knocks down Wilder. At that point, it looks like, oh, Wilder's probably done. And then he storms back at the end of round 10, puts together a nice combination, pull Fury on the ropes. Round 11, GG, no re. Fury knocks out Wilder with a huge overhand right to end the fight, dude. What were your thoughts on this fight? I mean, I'm just taking it all in. Now that you've had some time to digest it, what were your thoughts?
I mean, those two guys are undisputedly the two greatest heavyweights on the planet right now, man. I mean, the fact that they met each other three times, they came out and performed three times, and I mean, they're both so tough, dude. Both so tough. Both getting knocked down in that fight. I mean, Fury getting knocked down in that, and Wilder getting knocked down in that. Let me tell you this, dude. A lot of people are gonna give credit to Wilder. I think. I feel like a lot of people aren't. Like a lot of just average people aren't. But man, you gotta understand, dude. That guy got knocked down, came back, knocked the other guy down twice, and was extremely tired. I mean, his legs had been shot. His arms were heavy. He was getting outboxed, and he stuck in it for 11 rounds. I mean, very few people could have done what he did. A lot of other people would have gave up, and he kept going. He kept staying in it. He kept trying to land the hand. Was it working well? No, but for some reason he refused to give up, man. And that just that deserves a lot of respect, man. A lot of respect, because honestly, I mean, not any guy could have done what he did in the sense of being tough and still wanting to fight on and go out on his shield in the way he did. And obviously he ended up getting finished, man, which sucks. And that's how this game works, man. I mean, toughness won't always win you the fight, but he was really trying to just find his way back in it somehow. He wanted to go to distance regardless. He wanted to be in the position to feel like he did, the most he could have and not go out like he did in the previous fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and ultimately, dude, I saw, this fight was interesting, but seeing the reaction online. there were really like two camps. I'm curious to get your opinion on this. There were people that thought it was like one of the greatest heavyweight fights of all time because, well, I mean, it was. And then there were other people that were like, aha, Wilder, you dumbass. You know, you got what you wanted. You got knocked out. You didn't throw in the towel. Blah blah blah. Is it just me, or did Wilder's kind of in? I actually agreed with the towel being thrown in. By the way, in the second fight, I thought he was spent. But Wilder's whole point was like, if I'm in that fight, I have the right hand. I'm still there, no matter what. I actually thought Wilder's point kind of got proven in this third fight because there were multiple times. Shit, dude. In going to that fourth round, everybody thought Wilder was fucked. Like, he had already been knocked down. He was already getting beat up. Going into the fourth round, he nearly went the fight. And as the fight progressed, yes, he was tired. Yes, he was taking punches. But he was still in there. He was still buzzing Tyson with shots. Round 10 was probably the best moment for him outside of the fourth round in terms of actual action, in terms of landing actual shots. Near the end of the round, he lands a massive combination, puts Tyson on the ropes. I actually thought his point got proven to a degree about him being unhappy with the fight being stopped because he always has that equalizer. What are your opinions on that?
I mean, yeah, man, that's the thing. That's what we even said, man. He is dangerous at all times. I mean, the hand is always there. And, I mean, look, it was going to be really hard for him to try to get all this boxing experience in such a short amount of time because he's such a physically talented guy and it worked for so long. And I mean, like you said, man, he was still dangerous. And look, he got outboxed. That happens. You know, he's not going to be the first. He's not going to be the last. But the man still has a stellar record. He defended the title multiple times. He knocked out so many opponents. I mean, and he's still a draw. He can still find himself in great positions and beat good guys. It's just that Tyson Fury, is just better than him. At this moment in time, he's better than him. And look, we knew from day one, we knew Tyson Fury was a better boxer. You know what I mean? We just wanted to see if Deontay Wilder could win it somehow and land his hand. He was never able to land it cleanly like he wanted to. He did in the first one, and it didn't end up going out his way. And then in the second one, obviously Fury caught him, got the best of him. And in this one, he went the distance for the most part like he did. Obviously, there was one more round, but man, he showed a lot of stuff in there that I think you like. That he's willing to grow, willing to change, and we saw the results on that night. And the right guy won, and we know undisputedly who's the best heavyweight in the world right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, there's a guy that has an argument to being the greatest heavyweight on the planet, so I'll actually jump into that right now. I'm not going to ask if you think he's the greatest heavyweight on the planet. You kind of give away that you think Fury is, but I'll ask this real quickly. So, Fury, obviously, Usyk versus Joshua 2. Joshua officially kicked in his rematch clause officially the night of Fury Wilder 3, which I thought was interesting. Trying to probably take away from that fight to get the attention back on them, him in Matchroom. But so Fury, I'm curious to get your opinion. What do you think he should do? Because if he wants to wait around, he's probably not going to fight the winner of that fight.
There's a mandatory between Dillian White and somebody else that's happening. I think it's Otto Wallin. So there you go.
Okay, so yeah, well, I guess you kind of, I was curious if you think he should wait or he should fight the winner of that fight.
But yeah, that's probably what's going to end up happening. And so and obviously he's probably win that. Shout out Otto Wallin, though, for finding himself back in the mix, though.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm very intrigued. I think if the Fury that shows up against Wilder the third fight, because look, Fury admitted it. He was not his best self in there, partially because at a certain point you probably get opponent fatigue from facing the same guy multiple times, and also probably overconfidence from just he beat Wilder's ass so bad the second time around, that he probably thought he can go in there and do work, and as a result he got knocked down and nearly finished a couple different times. So I think he admitted in that like he was not his best self in there. I think if that Fury goes in there against White or Wallin, we're gonna have a hell of a fight. I think it's gonna be a lot closer than what people think. And obviously we did see Wallin fight him once before and he gave a hell of a fight. So, although I would probably pick White in that one, but we'll talk about that when that actually springs up, which will be on Halloween, by the way. So that'll be a lot of fun. But lastly, Deontay Wilder, dude. So, second loss in his last two fights, obviously both of them being arguably, the greatest heavyweight on the planet, so on and so forth. Both of them being knockouts. People talked to his head coach, Malik Scott, said that he's actually looking to get back in there relatively soon. He said he's aiming for around March, April. If you were to go ahead and match, first of all, are you cool with him coming back that soon after taking 2 complete ass beatings in his last few fights. And also, who would you matchmake him against?
I mean, dude, you could throw him in there against literally anybody. You know what I mean? There's so many heavyweights. There's so much young talent. I mean, it's dependent of what they want to do, and shit, I don't know. They could do anybody, man. It is a little quick. I mean, he's a big guy. I mean, literally anybody, you know. I mean, I don't even know if is the Andy Ruiz matchup even possible? Would Andy even take that? Would Deontay be even interested in that? You know, former world champ, you know, could they sell that somehow, you know? Black versus Mexican. I mean, that's a market, man, you know. It's just the truth about boxing. That's a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. I think Ruiz makes a lot of sense, but also I gotta say, dude, I want to see Deontay Wilder get. I know people probably be pissed off about this, but I want to see Deontay Wilder get 1 to 2 tune-ups simply for the fact that, like, I think under Malik, he showed legitimate boxing improvements. Now, it was never going to be enough for where the two were at, right? For Wilder to make up the skill difference, even with Fury not being himself in there, the gap was just way too wide, especially with how the fight played out, dude. Like, you're 40 pounds undersized, you're 2 inches smaller, you're against a guy that, like, is very, very good at clinching, underhooking, doing a lot of those small things in dirty boxing. You're not going to be able to make up that difference within the something like 16 months that he had. You're not going to be able to do that. I don't think they're ever going to make a 4th fight between those two under any circumstances. But I would want to see what Wilder can do against top-level competition. Give him 1 to 2 tune-ups. Do the Ruiz thing. Ruiz fought Chris Ariel. Chris Ariel, tough guy, but he's a level down from the Ruizes of the world, at least at this point in time, now that he's getting older and so on and so forth. Give Wilder 1 to 2 tune-ups. See what Malik Scott can do. Give him some more time to get more invested in the system, for him to work more on fundamentals and do a lot of those things, because I really liked what I saw out of Wilder, dude. I think that depending on how quickly he gets back in there, we could see Ruiz somewhere down the line, maybe latter half of next year. But Wilder's, I mean, he's not young, but he's not old either. I believe he's 34. So I think if he's going to want to actually shoot back for the title and have another chance, he needs to take a little bit of time fighting down for a minute. But that's just my opinion. As far as the undercard goes, man, there's a couple of different fights on there. I know that we're very excited about them going in. Go ahead and give me your quick thoughts on those undercard bouts.
I mean, man, if Agapova losing, man, I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought he was going to come out and win that, but he fought a very talented guy who obviously beat him. And Adam Kalinaki, man, he wasn't able to get it down, man. He found his demon, at least at heavyweight right now. Guy he can't beat, his Fury, you know? You know, let's put it like that. I mean, he got beat up twice, and like we talked about it, we thought because of that Areola fight, he might have taken too much damage and got into the next one too quick, and just like that was it. And obviously, he just can't get past this guy right now. You know, he's been legitimately been beat up twice now by him. Obviously, he's gonna go back into the lab, figure something out, find himself in a favorable matchup again. Obviously, he's a talented individual, it just didn't work out with him, and obviously, the young prospect in Ari Berlanga going through adversity in that fight, and you know, coming out on top of that. I mean, that's you know, that's the main 3 ones that I think were important that night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just to go ahead and give my quick thoughts on those as well. Just to start off with Edward Berlanga, that was obviously going into that one. He had something 16 knockouts, and like only 1 fight had actually gone the distance, and all those knockouts happened in the first round.
I thought he was gonna bomb the guy. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and I honestly was not that surprised, because I'm not sure if you remember, this is the guy that he fought Billy Joe Saunders on the Logan KSI undercard, and he gave him a hell of a fight.
He was the guy who went the distance too.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, well, he actually didn't go the distance, but he made it to like round 10. He got knocked out, but he was arguably winning on the cards when that fight got stopped. So Marcelo Caceres, bad motherfucker. So whenever I saw that fight in the undercard, I'm like, whew, that's a tough one. That's a tough fight, considering that, like, yeah, he's had, 17 fights, but none of them have been against very top level competition, and most of them have been very early finishes, so he hasn't really had the experience of like going multiple rounds and so on and so forth. So I thought that was a rough ass matchup for him.
That was a good thing though. That's what you want.
Yeah, it was very, very good though. It was good for him to actually do so. But so Yeah, I thought that was a good win by him. I think that a lot of people are just going like, oh man, I can't believe he got knocked down. I can't believe he looked bad. I'm like, dude, just because you don't know the guy doesn't mean he's bad.
Yeah.
Whenever I saw him on the box track, I'm like, really? That guy is who you're giving to like this young phenom? Like, it's fine. He should win it, and he did. But like, it was a good close fight, dude. Got knocked down in the 8th, I believe. Survived, but still, that was a hell of a fight, dude. Just a couple other ones to touch on. Jared Anderson getting the nice win. I thought that was good by him. He needed that one. Robert Helenas, dude, that was a DQ, but dude, he was whooping his ass. Like
He was whooping that ass.
He was disqualified, but Alan Kanaki wasn't even in that fight for. I did not give him a single round. Like,
Wait, he ended up going to disqualification with the whole foul shit. I did leave for a bit.
I have seen. Okay, first of all, on Wiki it's listed as DQ. On their Wikipedia individual pages, it's listed as TKO. BoxRec, I have not seen yet.
TKO.
But I've seen. Is it TKO?
Yeah.
Okay, so in that case, never mind. He TKO'd him, but it was originally ruled a DQ. But regardless, dude, hell of a job by Helenas. I'm not sure what's next for him. He's only getting lost in the shuffle just because of all of this weird stuff going on at the top of the division. But dude, good for this guy, dude. Good for this guy. He was super hyped up one point in time. I know he beat Chisaroa. He beat Sherman Williams, Sam Peter, Lakovic back in like 2011. He beat some good dudes. He ultimately lost out after like he had a couple of rough losses there. They were trying to feed him to Kaunaki. Knocks him out again. Shout out Robert Helenas, man. Shout out Robert Helenas. Overall, hell of a night of fights. Personally, I watched this one in my local Buffalo Wild Wings. I know, Angel, you were talking about buying this one, but if you bought it, then
it was worth it.
Yeah, it was well worth it. So, as far as boxing goes, as far as MMA goes, as far as anything goes, man, is there anything else we talk about before we close out the show?
I mean, as far as anything happening Mikey Garcia is coming back this weekend, man.
This weekend?
Yeah, after a year. He's coming back against a Sandor Morin, a Spanish boxer, 28 years old, 38-2 record. I don't know anything about the guy really, but he's coming back in Yuri Fury's fighting this week against Christian Hammer. I feel like that should actually be a good bout.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Those guys are like on the same level, so I feel like that'll actually be good. So as far as that, I mean, that's coming up, and I would say at the end of this month we have Dillian White and Otto Wallin, like you said, and then at the start of next month, Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant, trying to unify the titles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, it's gonna be very, very big, like you said, dude. And I didn't like it that we were talking about it because I thought we were gonna jinx it, but I could feel safe after having a couple of these big fights that like we're getting there, dude. Like this boxing is closing out on a fucking amazing note.
And there's more, man. There's still more, so it's not over.
There's some more coming. Like we talked about White Valine. It's happening later this month. You brought up Canelo, dude. Like Garcia's back this weekend. We're looking at the biggest fight. Tommy Fury, Jake Paul going down in November or December, man.
Potentially. There's no
It's not confirmed, but it's looking that way.
Which, shit, Josh. I mean, that's gonna be a hell of a conversation when that comes up.
We gotta hang out for that one.
I think we have to for this one, which is weird. Which arguably we should have hung out for Fury Wilder, but I don't think we had to fully for that. We might have to hang out for MSG, Josh.
I'm down. But
I got something to propose to you about the next pay-per-view because we got back-to-back pay-per-views. We might hang out for both of those. We're gonna have to figure that out. Talk about that though after the pod. And I mean, obviously, man, we had another great show. Obviously, not a crazy card this week, but it could be a sleeper, man.
For sure. It'll be a fun one. I like a lot of the names on there. Like I said earlier, very, very fun main card. Very slept on. But first of all, guys, hope you guys enjoyed. I'm at Josh Evanoff on Twitter. He's at Angel Ortega _01 at Courtside Sound 1 for all things related to the show. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace and butt grease. Mouse click.